So you're starting a travel journey, but don't know where to go first? Well, guys, in this video, I'm not only gonna tell you the 3 things you need to think about when picking your first destination, I'm gonna give you some real advice on where you should go first. So this is what I would tell someone close in my life, a family member, a friend who's now starting their travel journey, like living this traveling lifestyle. And actually, to be honest, this video was inspired by my cousin who now decided that she wanted to start traveling whenever she can. She has a full-time job and she decided that whenever she can travel, she's gonna squeeze it in. So this video was definitely inspired by her, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what I told her to get you started, and I know this is totally gonna help you, so make sure you watch until the end of the video to get all the juicy advice. Okay guys, let's jump right into it. So here's the 3 things you need to think about before booking any destination. The first thing is, and this is the most important bit of advice that you're ever gonna hear on my channel, and particularly on this topic of picking your first destination, but that is, you need to go somewhere you are going to be comfortable. And this is like an umbrella term. There's so much under feeling comfortable in a country, so let's talk about it. Knowing that you're gonna feel comfortable in a particular country is where you need to start, because you're spending a ton of money on your flight, on your accommodation, on meals. You're spending money in this country, so your comfort and happiness needs to be a priority. And when I say go somewhere that feels comfortable, and like I said, this is like an umbrella term, what's under the umbrella is that you overall feel safe, like you're gonna be all right being who you are. Whether that's your sexual orientation, your race, the way you look, your weight, if you have tattoos. Like for example, in Japan, this is like a random thought, but I'm just gonna throw it in there. So for example, in Japan, it's not as easy being someone that has a full arm of tattoos. Like Japanese people are a little judgy. Like, I'm sorry, all my Japanese friends, but they're a little judgy about people that have tattoos. And that's because of their history and their thing. There's a reason behind it that I'm not an expert. I'm not going to get into right now, but that's just what it is in that country. And then in certain countries, it's not okay to be gay. It's not okay to be homosexual, to be a lesbian, whatever. You're going to have some trouble there. And as for race, yeah, we're in 2022, but there are some countries I will never set foot in because they don't treat people of color very kindly. And of course, your religion can be an issue too, whether you're Muslim, Christian, and also an issue could be that maybe you won't experience racism or sexism or whatever ism. Maybe you won't experience that, but you might feel some discomfort being in a country where there's like literally no Black people, and then you just get a lot of stares. Sometimes it's not always super negative like racism. Maybe sometimes you're just getting stares because they've never seen a Black woman before, like in person. I've been to places where people I've spoken to people that have never interacted with a Black person before. Like literally, this has been my experience. So it can be hard sometimes being in certain countries where you're being stared at just because you're different. It's nothing negative. It's just because you are different. They've never seen anyone like you. So please take this into consideration when picking a destination. This is all just research, taking time to sit down if that country is the best for you, whatever country you have in mind. And the next thing under comfort is like the cultural norms. For example, the way a woman is treated, the way expectations of a woman, the way a woman is supposed to dress, the expectations of a man, what men are supposed to do. I've gone to countries where women are expected to do certain things and behave in a certain way. And in America, we don't have any of that expectations, right? And in certain countries I went to, for example, the way you dress. In Japan, it's very strange to have your arms out. When you're deciding if a country is best for you, just think about how you would feel being there, your level of comfort, and just your level of, hey, is this gonna annoy the crap out of me? Like, is it gonna annoy the crap out of me that in the height of summer, I can't wear a dress that doesn't have sleeves? Well, you can, but it's just gonna be odd. So before you book that ticket, guys, the number one thing I need you to do is figure out if you're gonna be comfortable, happy, you don't wanna have any issues of discomfort when you're abroad. Do your research and really think about if that country you're visiting is best for you. The second thing you need to think about is how much it's all gonna cost you to visit that country. There are some countries that I would like to visit. For example, I would like to visit the UK a lot more. I would love to go to London. But at this time in my life, I am not willing to spend all that money in London. No, thank you. You have to make sure, you have to make certain that you can afford the country that you're going to. Not only because you don't want to get stranded and can't afford to get back home or whatever, you just can't afford to be in the country, but also because you don't want to have a sucky time because you don't have enough money. You don't want to miss out on doing cool things because you don't have the funds to do it. Yes, I honestly do believe that you can go anywhere you want to go. You can afford anything you want to do. There's just so many ways to make things happen when it comes to travel. I made a whole video on how to travel for free. I'll link that above and below. So there's so many ways to make things happen. Like I totally can make London happen, but in the way I want to do London, like staying in some fabulous hotel in the city center, going out bar hopping, it's just not gonna happen right now. And I'm okay with that. So here's what you have to decide. Sit down and really think about, not only can you afford the country that you want to go to, but can you do it the way that you want to do it? Because like I said, you can totally travel to that country and make it happen, but can you experience it the way you want to experience it? And you can totally figure this out by going to the website numbio.com. I'll link that in the description. It just shows you how much everything will cost you in that country, from a crate of eggs to a taxi to an inexpensive meal to an expensive meal. All the numbers are right there so you can decide if that country is in your budget. And on my channel, I show you how to plan a trip from start to finish and know exactly how much everything is gonna cost. I linked my last video on how to book a trip for $1,000, so that's a great start for you. I'll link that above and below. And that video goes through the trip planning process from start to finish. All right, so the next thing you have to think about when picking a country is your level of interest. Now, I thought this was important to mention it here because the way social media works is that sometimes you feel like you wanna go to certain places or do certain things because the Instagram people are making it seem so fabulous and like that's what travelers do, or that's what travelers that look like you or travelers your age, that's what they do, so that's what you're supposed to do. And sometimes these things are subconscious, so you really have to sit down and think about what it is exactly that you want to do and pick a country, city based on what it is that you want to do. So like I said on my channel a ton of times, my first trip abroad by myself, like my first adult trip, was to Sri Lanka. I went to Sri Lanka for a month. And a lot of people in my life thought I was crazy for wanting to go to Sri Lanka, but that's what I wanted to do. And I made that decision because I was really interested in the country. I was interested in the food, the different sites, and just the people in general. For example, a real example, nowadays everyone's going to Bali. Bali is like the destination and everyone's taking these pictures in Bali, looking fabulous. While Bali is totally on my bucket list, it's not the next place that I want to go to. So make sure the country that you want to go to, there's a lot of things that you want to do. There's a lot of the culture you want to learn about. It doesn't have to be that deep, to tell you the truth. I've gone to countries just because I was like, hey, this might be interesting. Because like I was talking about in the last point, you're spending some money to make this happen, okay? So make sure that you're interested in it and you're just overall excited about the country. There's just an overall excitement about it. All right, guys, so let's get to the juicy part of the video, where you should go first, where I recommend you go first. And this is exactly what I told my cousin. I highly recommend that your first destination be Western Europe. Now, I have a ton of reasons why I recommend Western Europe, so let's get into it. The number one reason being is that Western Europe is super duper well traveled. Everyone and their mother has been to Western Europe. And by the way, Western Europe consists of countries like Spain, Germany, France, Portugal. I'll put a picture in here of where Western Europe is. But these countries have been so traveled and there's so much information about how to travel these countries. So to support the first point that I made, that you need to be comfortable in the country that you're visiting, the thing about Western Europe, like I said, everybody has been there. This is like the rite of passage for travelers. Like this is the first place people go. France is like the first place that people go when they first start traveling the world. And because so many people have gone there, you would find someone that looks exactly like you, that is in the sexual orientation as you, the same race as you, has a bunch of tattoos. Someone just like you will find them that has been to the country, the city that you're interested in going to. And that's how you can determine if this country is like a comfortable place for you. Traveling to Western Europe is like an easy transition for you into the rest of the world, because it's just so touristy. They're used to seeing tourists. All of these countries, Spain, France, Germany, they're used to seeing tourists. So it's not like an utter surprise to see a group of like black women walking through like, say, Munich or Paris. It's not like, whoa. And the next reason is your family and friends won't give you a hard time for going to these places. They won't be like worried about your safety. I mean, they're going to be worried about your safety, but they won't feel like it's such a direct threat compared to like other parts of the world, because like I said, this part everyone and their mama went to, so they know that it's a touristy place, and that's why you're going. And again, there's lots of information on the internet, on YouTube, blogs, to help you travel the country safely on a budget, to figure out how to get to certain places, how to do things, what to do. It's just an abundance of information to help you travel Western Europe. And the next thing is, because these countries are well traveled, there's so many opportunities to get freebies to travel these countries for free. So you can be an au pair, you can do a workaway, you can house it. There's lots of opportunities for you to do a work exchange, because because this part of Europe is so well traveled, and there's a lot of tourists going there every single year. And I spoke all about free travel in that video, which is linked below. And that's where I talked a lot about doing a work exchange in exchange for free accommodation and meals. And the next reason, guys, is that you're probably somewhat familiar with the languages. So for example, I know you probably have studied either French or Spanish in school. Many of you probably haven't studied German, but you guys have some familiarity with the languages of Western Europe, and they're Roman languages, so you can easily pick up some of the language, learn it really quick before traveling to the country. My point is, guys, there's going to be a level of confidence when traveling to Western Europe, because it is so well traveled. I think I said that 20 times in the last like 5 minutes, but I just want to get the point across that this is probably the first place that you should go to if you're starting your travel journey, because it's going to be the easiest for you. So guys, I really hope this video helped you pick your first destination starting your travel journey. Make sure you watch this video here on how to book your trip for $1,000. It's a step-by-step guide to get you started. Leave any questions, any comments in the description below. I'll be sure to answer them. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.